I finally got around to watching all three Mummy movies directed by Stephen Sommers. I know what you guys are thinking. How are you just now watching this? Look, I am someone who I didn't actually enjoy watching movies as much as I love the cinema nowadays and how I want to make a career out of acting. I didn't enjoy the movies. I had a very short attention span growing up. So the thought of me sitting down and making it through a hour and a half, 2 hour movie was just impossible. But as I've matured and as I've gotten older and now respecting the art of filmmaking, I can sit down and I can watch 3-4 hour movies. And nowadays it's kind of all we get. We get movies that are about 3 to 4 hours long. So it was nice with these movies just having a solid early 2000s action flick that first off nostalgic. Like it takes me back to those early adventurous early 2000s movies that we had. I'm talking like the over the top fight scenes that are so excellently choreographed. I'm talking the over the top explosions where like one guy gets punched and then you see like this huge puff of smoke and you just see him flying and like that over the top fight choreography was just absolutely perfect. You would always have the cheesy scene where, someone would be in trouble and then you would have the action star who would kind of be like, no, like it was so awesome. It took me back to my childhood. The CGI obviously it's so bad. It's horrific, honestly, but you got to appreciate it for what it was at the time. Seeing Brendan Fraser back in his heyday when he was in like every single movie and he was such a big acting star. Sorry, I had a hair. This is my first time really experiencing Rachel Weisz, who played Evelyn in the first two and got recast in the third one, which we're going to get to the third one. I'm going to talk about all of them here. And then Johanna, obviously terrific. Arnold Vosloo, I'm just reading off the IMDb page, but I mean, you get the point. They were all incredible. I finally got that like hair that was stuck in my mouth. Look, I'm going to take you guys through all three Mummy movies and explain how I would rank them at the end of the video, and talk to you why this is a franchise that is definitely going to be one that I want to go back and watch again because it is a fun time. I mean, I think the stories are, yes, they're baseline, they're very basic, but they're enjoyable. They're enjoyable at the end of the day. The first two movies, you could argue, have pretty much the exact same story. We have a big bad guy who gets brought back to life, and he's trying to bring his lover back from the dead. And then at the end of the day, you have Rick and Evelyn who have to go in and kind of save the day and defeat these terrifying forces that just seem to outmatch them. But at the end of the day, they're going to end up getting the job done. And then the third one goes so off kiltered. The third one is the only one. I was laying down because if you guys can't tell, I'm extremely sick today. I got sent home from work. I don't have much of a voice. I wanted to get this video out while the Mummy was fresh on my mind. So like I didn't have anything else to do. I was charging my phone in my bedroom. I'm laying down. I'm watching the third version, the third movie of the Mummy franchise, and it's just at the end of it, I was so bored and I didn't care. And it felt so far away from what the first two movies did, not only with the recast, but see, I didn't plan it. This is what my channel is all about. It's just kind of me rambling on. I didn't plan to talk about the third one first, but I mean, the first two obviously take place kind of in the desert and in Africa. And this one is in China for whatever reason. I can see what they're going for, but it just didn't have that same nostalgic feel that the first two Mummies brought me when I was watching them, even though I had never seen them again. It's that nostalgic early 2000s action movie film. This one felt a lot like Spider-Man 3 in a sense. Like if you look at the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man trilogy, the first two masterpieces. And then most people would say, even though I enjoyed the third one, most people would say that they tried too hard on the third one and it ended up just being a disaster. This feels almost the exact same way. The first one, my introduction to the franchise, it was great. I didn't know I would enjoy it so much. I was really into the story of this high priestess or whoever he was falling in love with the woman who is with the pharaoh, and this woman is not allowed to be touched by another man. You know, if you get caught looking at her, you could be beheaded. And this affair that they had, you know, obviously if you've seen the movie, she ends up killing herself, and then he ends up getting buried alive. And you know, his end goal is just to rise from the dead, bring her back to life, and then rule the world. And even though the CGI is terrible, it's still kind of scary in a way, in the way he's sucking the souls out of these men who uncovered this chest that was meant to never be opened. The action scenes are fun. There's some funny moments. Brendan Fraser is just so good in this role. I think this might be my favorite role I've ever seen him in. And I mean, that's coming from someone who loved him in George of the Jungle. Journey to the Center of the Earth obviously got recognized finally for his acting skills with his role as in The Whale. And I just absolutely loved him as Rick O'Connell. Sorry, I'm looking down because I'm so bad with names. Even though I just watched the movies, I need to remind myself of their names and everything. The cinematography at the time for what it was is just great. I love the atmosphere of the desert. I love the back and forth that he had with, oh my gosh, what was that guy's name? That little Weasley dude where he's like, I'm going to get you this time. And the Weasel dude keeps barely escaping death. I loved that. And, you know, eventually you knew he was going to get his comeuppance, as he was told in the movie as well. You know, bad guys always get their comeuppance. And he's like, oh, they do? The scarabs, I think that's what they're called, the beetles. That was the most horrifying part of the movie to me. I couldn't even imagine like a beetle climbing in your skin and just being inside your skin. And like, oh, that like sent chills down my spine. And I ended up giving the first Mummy movie a 4 out of 5. I thought it was very good. It's going to be a movie that I go back and watch on a rainy day. Maybe around Halloween time, I might dive back into the Mummy series and check it out. On to The Mummy Returns. I love that we get a little insight. This obviously happens years later. They've had a kid at this point. Evelyn and Rick have had a kid. His name is Alex. And I love how they integrated him into the story. And I love how the story in The Mummy Returns is literally, as the name depicts, it's a continuation. And I'm going to say his name right, or his name wrong, Imhotep. I love that he gets brought back to life by this, you know, corrupt organization, and they're going after the Scorpion King's power. And Dwayne Johnson CGI in this movie. It was so bad. Can we admire that? It was so bad. It was I know you guys know that I'm talking about the end of the movie when the Skeleton King actually comes out. You know, at the time, I'm sure it was like mesmerizing how good it was, but it, you know, compared to what cinema and Hollywood has been able to do with CGI nowadays, even though some people say they've taken a step back, you know, I'm just going to move past that, but it did give me a laugh to see CGI rock, which I think that is listed as one of the worst CGI, you know, movie characters ever. And I can understand why, but let's not be too hard on it. I loved this oasis that the Scorpion King had given to him, and this army of like dead devil dogs. It was funny how they ran in the background too. Their knees are like bent and they're just like this, like the animation for those as well. Wild. But that's the appeal to these movies. That's what makes them fun. You know, it feels different. You don't feel like you're watching the same thing, which Hollywood cinema nowadays, it can feel like you're watching the exact same thing. All the CGI kind of looks the same. It's really gory. and this is, there's a lot of death in this, but it doesn't come with the gore per se. And, you know, I would almost argue that I like the story of the second one more, but it did feel like it takes a step back at times. I think we focused a little bit too much on relationships rather than the overall action. And I think that's what made, I know that might be wild to say, but I think that's what made me enjoy the first one a little bit more, is it's just so action packed. And in the second one, we get a lot more, filler of like relationships, and we can see them forming, bonding happening. There's just a lot more filler, if that makes sense, in the second one than there was in the first, but it's still an enjoyable experience. And so I ended up giving the second one a 3.5 out of 5. So first one was a 4 out of 5. Second one I gave 3.5. I think they're both enjoyable. I mean, like the second one's just what I told a friend is it's just a step down for me, just a step down. But I mean, it's still a worthy sequel at the end of the day. Exposition was the word that I could not think of. There's more exposition in the second one, which I think slows down the pacing just a hair. Like, I don't want you to listen to this and think, oh my gosh, this guy's saying it's like way worse. It's like just barely. If I could officially rate it on Letterboxd like a 3.75 out of 4, I would. But I leaned more towards a 3.5 instead of a 4 like I gave the original. And then the third one, I didn't like the villain as much. I didn't like the fight scenes as much. I didn't like the end goal, where they were going with Alex's love relationship with this 2,000-year-old woman. Kind of seemed forced and came out of nowhere for me, specifically. And like I said, the ending, I was just so out of it by the end and so bored by the end. I didn't even really pay attention, to be honest with you. I kind of glanced up, saw how the movie was wrapping up, and then called it there. I think I'm with everyone in saying that the second one was just so much worse than the first two. So I ended up giving that one that's a good question. Did I give it a 2 or did I give it a 2.5? I'm loading my Letterboxd right now. I gave it a 2. I did. I gave it a 2 out of 5, which is such a step down from the other two. I know that I'm not done watching the Mummy series. I believe there's a fourth one in development with Brendan Fraser returning. I don't know who else from the cast is returning. I'm hoping they go out and they recast and go back to Rachel Weisz as his wife. I hope they bring Jonathan back. I would love to see the Alex character back, although I can't think of the actor's name who played Alex. And I honestly hope they get Arnold Vosloo back to possibly, return as the Mummy again. I think they should just totally disregard the third movie and get back to their roots, being in Africa and the desert and all of that. I think that's where they should go. But yeah, this franchise, at the end of the day, like, where does it rank for me? If you talk about like big movie franchises, Jurassic Park has always been my favorite franchise. You have the MCU, you have Star Wars. I enjoy this adventure series more than Indiana Jones by quite a bit. But for me, it's like middle of the pack. It's a series that I think's good. I would recommend it to people, but I'm not overly the moon. Like, oh, I am now in love with this movie franchise. Like I said, I'd love to see a fourth one just to see what Brendan Fraser can bring back to the character. Now that it's been so long, the third movie happened back in 2008. So it's been so long since we've dove into this story. I also know that I have to check out The Scorpion King with The Rock. I believe there's 2 or 3 movies, but my friends keep joking that I only need to watch the first one, really, because the other 2 just suck so bad. And then maybe I'll dive into Tom Cruise Mummy revival that came out, I think, in like 2012. Don't quote me on that, but I'll check that out as well to get more from this world of the Mummy. You guys are gonna have to let me know in the comments, like, if Tom Cruise's Mummy is worth going out to see. So I don't know. I'll check it out. But also you can check out all my reviews on my Letterboxd account. The link is in the description. But yeah, overall, The Mummy, I enjoyed it. Like I said, the first 2, I will go back and watch probably over and over and over and over again throughout the years. Third one, a little less. Couldn't really care less about it. And that's the one that I just watched before filming this video. So I'm happy that I finally watched The Mummy. I think the next movie I'm going to watch is The Godfather. I might have some friends coming over later this week to check that out with me. Hopefully I can get over whatever's happening here, but hey, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure to hit that like button, share the video, all of that good stuff, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.